President Trump has ordered that all of the nation's flags be flown at half-mast to honor a man who has said horrible racist things about black people, clearly demonstrating that he shares a similar mindset. Yet black Trump supporters ignores this fact and continues to support him. I'm certain that many will respond that, like all other groups, black people are not monolithic and can therefore vote for any party we choose. However, this is more than just a case of black people not being monolithic. The truth is that millions of black people have been intentionally socialized to place the collective interests of the white society above our own collective interests. The weaker the black person's mental fortitude is, the stronger the programming is. Those black people who continue to support Trump, in spite of his obvious racism, actually possesses the weakest mental fortitude and are therefore the most mentally enslaved. This is not a case of throwing insults at black Trump supporters. It's the absolute truth that white oppressive forces don't want us to ever learn. Those who know the truth must teach. African proverb. Unlike at the conclusion of World War II, when the Jewish Holocaust, which lasted less than 12 years, came to an end, the U.S. government and United Nations contributed massive financial support to rebuild their lives. However, there was no moral obligation to do the same for we Africans. Although the African Holocaust lasted hundreds of years longer, resulting in millions of more deaths, when it ended, America, Great Britain, and the many other white nations that benefited from the brutal exploitation of Africans felt no moral obligation to restore the culture of African people. Instead, those Western nations exploited their monopolies over the information that are systematically and repetitively fed into the collective minds of the black population to socialize us. Socialize means it's when the oppressed and or the subordinate population has been conditioned to think and behave in ways beneficial to the dominant culture. This is not a conspiracy theory. Throughout Western histories, empires that were brutally oppressive, fearing eventual retribution from the oppressed, have always socialized their minds. Because when people are oppressed for long durations, their collective aggressions towards their oppressors will continue to grow until acts of massive rebellions become inevitable. The oppressed population always rebels when held under long-term oppression. It's an inherent response within the collective human psyche whenever people are held in a long-term oppression. The only way to prevent this inherent response is by socializing the oppressed to think in ways that prevents them from unifying and seeking retribution against their oppressors. This usually includes manipulating the oppressed to revere their oppressors and to perceive themselves as being their worst enemies. This shifts the collective aggressions of the oppressed away from the oppressive society and redirects it against themselves, thus preventing them from engaging in acts of massive retribution against their oppressors. It also attacks the core foundation of what bonds them as a people, and as long as they're kept within this condition, they can then be ruled over forever. This is all possible because the human mind is like a computer. No matter how efficient it may be, its reliability is only as great as the information fed into it. If it's possible to control the input into the human mind, then no matter how intelligent people are, it's entirely possible to control what they will think, what they will believe, and even how they'll behave. There are 4 ways to effectively socialize, manipulate the human mind: through what we're taught, what we see, what we hear, and through repetition. Because the white society controls the education we're taught, the media images we see, and the societal narratives we hear, through repetitive subliminal programming, they're able to socialize millions of black people to think in ways that places the interests of the white society above our own. Again, This is not some silly, feeble-minded conspiracy theory. It's a well-proven, true, hidden, nefarious practice. White social engineering scientists describe this nefarious practice as merely instilling a value system into the collective minds of the subordinate population that makes them adhere to the existing infrastructure and the authority of the dominant culture. To not have socialized black people would have been against the interests of the white society. Here's the reason why white oppressive forces deems it necessary to socialize black people. The white society's exploitation of Africans has provided it with an era in which it has flourished most throughout history. To allow this era to possibly end would be directly against the interests of the white society. Millions have been misled to believe that the white society's exploitation of Africans has been limited to its exploitation of Africa's natural resources and through slave labor. However, the truth is that the white society has benefited most by exploiting the genius minds of black people, while simultaneously manipulating us to believe that we are lesser than whites. Because the white society writes all of our narratives and controls our media images, they literally own our perception of our racial group. They have exploited this immense position of power over us by manipulating us to believe that we have contributed the least towards the building of modern society. But the hidden fact is that it was we, Africans, who civilized the world, and it is we who are hittingly responsible for most inventions that have revolutionized the world. In spite of cultural traumas wrought by the injustices of slavery and unrelenting white racism, most inventions that have revolutionized the world were either invented by black people or were directly inspired by earlier inventions made by black people. However, in order for black inventors to get their inventions mass-produced, they had no other options than to go before white companies. These white companies acquires the right to these inventions and then places white faces in front of the inventions. The Patent Office has also been used to steal intellectual property rights from black inventors for centuries. These scenarios literally allows the white society to continue exploiting the intellectual genius minds of black people while maintaining the appearance that most inventions that revolutionize the world are coming from the minds of Caucasians. These true facts are deliberately withheld from the public through the white society's control over information. Your perception of reality is an elaborate white deception that has been fed into your mind through false information since birth. Given these disclosed facts that I've demonstrated, it shows that the white society's exploitation of Africans has provided them with an era where they flourished most throughout history. To not have socialized the minds of black people to think in ways that allowed them to continue their exploitation of black people without any black resistance would have been directly against the interests of the white society. The reason why most black people are unaware of the fact that we've been socialized is because most people who have been socialized rarely, if ever, learn of this fact. This is the truth they don't teach you in your schools. I don't care if you get a PhD, they don't teach this. It's a social science used for maintaining white dominance. Brothers and sisters, it's time to wake up. If you are walking around believing that we're being controlled by a slave syndrome myth, and you believe Jesus is going to save us, then your intelligence level is exactly where white oppressive forces wants it, because you are ignorant and mentally enslaved of the truth. You must learn the truth so we can develop the proper counter strategies that are necessary in order to liberate ourselves. We are being socialized, and the programming is being reapplied daily through the white society's monopoly over our education and over the media propaganda is being fed into our minds unrelentingly. It's time to wake up to learn of the great people who we truly are. One love and peace.